statistics show that at least 14.4% of Nigerians take a form of substance abuse or the other. And the worrying part of it is at least about 5% of that percentage is basically on adolescent now, not even young adults.
Dr Kehinde is a consultant psychiatrist and mental health doctor. She has years of experience working as a consultant in the mental health sector. She's one of the lead consultants with the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital.
Presently in Nigeria, there are just about 300 psychiatrists to the whole Nigeria. I remember this young lady that came to my clinic, and the first thing she said is, "Doctor, what is the big deal? Is there anything wrong with cannabis? So what's the big deal? All my friends do this." And I'm so, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know what's wrong with my mom. Can you speak with her?
Some parents actually live in denial. They feel that they have brought up their kids so well that the child cannot be doing drugs. And for that, they are not able to maybe take action. They just believe that it's not possible.
These children too are exposed to a lot. So if they want to say 100% that you cannot find any fault in my upbringing of this child, then that child will not leave their house. And then that child would only be with you, either the mother or the father that is saying 100% my security is top-notch. Because you cannot vouch for the next person too. Do you understand?
Yeah, once a child relates with other people.
Once they leave the house, you cannot say 100% anymore. You cannot. So what I notice in the clinic is there's a group of people that come in. If you ask questions, they are not depressed. The doctor, I don't feel sad. They don't look sad, but they feel like they cannot go on. They cannot handle it anymore. They feel like they're just at the brim. People have to know that they have to take time off. The psychosis or the things we see on the street, blah blah, crazy person, is just 9% or 10% of what we see.
How about stay-at-home moms?
We have noticed, and there's even a theory regarding that a woman that has 3 children below 11 years old, that woman is predisposed to depressive disorder or a mental health issue.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Soluchi Ceejay Podcast, where faith meets with real conversation on relationship, life, parenting, family, and growth. Today's episode, we have an amazing person in our midst, and I would like for her to introduce herself, and we just get right into it. Doctor, you're welcome.
Good afternoon again. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. We thank God for His mercies. My name is Dr. Kehinde. I'm a consultant psychiatrist by God's grace with the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Ijaraba. I'm one of the lead consultants there. So we are here today to educate our viewers. Like we always say, we should bring mental health to the people. So these are like an awareness for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Please get ready because today you don't want to miss anything. So, Doctor, you have worked with young people and families for over the years. When you hear the word pandemic as it relates to drug abuse, what comes to mind?
That's a loaded one and very disturbing one as at this time, because the prevalence of substance abuse is on the increase day by day. It keeps going up. Presently now, there's statistics show that at least 14.4 precisely percent of Nigerians take a form of substance abuse or the other. And when we talk about this, 14 might seem small, but looking at the population of Nigeria that we know is up to like 200 million, according to statistics too and studies, it shows that up about 30 million people are using one form of substances or the other. And the worrying part of it is at least about 5% of that percentage is basically on adolescent now, not even young adults, from age 13 to 18 or 19, at least 5% of that entire figure. So it's quite worrisome. Another thing that we also find very worrisome now is the fact that even females are also using substance abuse. Females are using it. Contrary to when I was growing up, it's like a taboo if a a female or a woman is smoking. I remember when we first started medical school and we were told to clerk patients, that's ask questions, history taking. You know, when you get to, there's actually a question about, we call it social history, that you ask about smoking, drinking, or substance. When you see a woman, you don't even say, sorry, ma, sorry, I just have to ask you. Almost saying ahead, like, I know I'm not supposed to ask. I know you can never do this, but let me just ask because it's part of the questions, you know. And then, I'm very sorry, but just answer this. I'm sure you don't do the, but you know, all of that. Of course, sometimes even then, back then, we used to get like some outliers when one of the two people would still say, yeah, I do smoke, and there's no big deal. I said, okay, yeah. But then it was still something. But nowadays, it's a normal history. You ask them, yeah, point blank thing, female, woman, girl, young adult, female. You ask, have you been taking substance? Yeah, somebody said they do. I remember this young lady that came to my clinic, and she was 20. Okay, at that time, 23, 4, 5. So the mom was quite worried that, can I imagine, just like I was saying now, the way we used to view substance abuse, that she's smoking. Hey, doctor, what will she do? What will she this and that? I said, okay, please don't agitate our conversation. Just step outside while I talk to the lady. And I was talking to her, and the first thing she said is, doctor, please, what is the big deal? Is there anything wrong with cannabis? I was so shocked. But, we have to, keep a straight face like nothing. And, so what's the big deal? All my friends do this. And so why? There's nothing wrong with it. I don't know what's wrong with my mom. Can you speak with her?
Really?
Yeah. I was like, wow, what? So really in our management now, we're not talking about management. I just want to finish that history. Is nowadays now, we the main issue in managing now is the fact for the patient or the person that comes in for rehabilitation to even agree that there's anything wrong with what they are doing. We can be on that for weeks, 2, 3 weeks, when you are still trying to say, taking psychoactive substance is wrong, cannabis is not good for you, and the next person, doctor, there's nothing wrong, everybody does this. That's it. So that in itself, I would say that's a silence where an abnormal is becoming the normal. So that's worrisome.
Yeah, first you talked about 5% of them being young adolescent from 13 years.
Yes.
Wow. I don't know, but when you speak to kids this young, what is their inspiration?
Usually kids 13, they might not necessarily come down with what we call acute intoxication, which might necessitate them coming. Most of them might fall into the category where they've tried it once or one time or the other. Particularly also what we also try to also find out while we question them is some young people, maybe the uncle is taking substance or alcohol. We must not forget that alcohol too is part of the psychoactive substances that we are talking about. Alcohol, tobacco, that's the cigarette, cannabis, heroin, and opioids, codeine, cough syrup. We have a whole lot now. So that is still comprises of the pandemic we're talking about. So now there's a wide array of all sorts. Even at some time, some people used to sniff glue or gum, anything just to intoxicate. Let me go back to the questions about the adolescent or young adult. So they have an uncle or someone in the house that smokes or drinks. So they leave there's a leftover of alcohol. So the person as a child used to take those leftovers. Uncle does not know, and or uncle's friend or someone. Yeah. So we hear a lot about that happening. So that's where the trigger comes. And then in secondary schools now, because if we notice, because we were moving away from using bottles for drinks now, alcohol too is being sold in sachets now. So it's more accessible. Why not try it? For children growing up, all the sachet drinks, or it used to come in the form of Ribena refreshment. So now sachet might just seem like there's nothing wrong with this, just try it. So I think that also has increased the awareness of try this, and then increase the psychoactive substance use amongst these teenagers. Yes.
So how many times can a child take this thing for it to like stay there and maybe trigger the child to continue in the future?
That depends on each person, is individualized, but most importantly is the amount taken at a particular time. The amount would point out if the person could be intoxicated. Like if I say leftover now, a sip of leftover, it might not, depending on the brand, depending on the concentration of alcohol. But if it's a let's say a hot drink now, and it takes a sip of Hennessy, they're not the same. So the amount of alcohol, the concentration taken, it determines that. And then the amount of times they keep going over, taking and taking.
Now, from your experience, at what time do the parents begin to, notice that maybe their child is becoming addicted or something like that?
Most of the time, most of the time, those kind of habits are not picked up. They know they are not picked up. I notice clinically now is usually in retrospect that the person you are interviewing will say, I tried it before, and since then it triggered something. And when my friends introduced me later on, I just went along with it. You understand that? But presently now, the other signs that one can watch out for in young adolescents. In that one, I was in a consulting room, okay, like a break room, and there was this. She was a doctor too, funny. So she came in and she said she was talking to another lady, their friends. So the other lady asked the doctor that, what of the so person? That was the doctor's son. She went on, he's a big boy now. He prefers to stay by himself. He doesn't come and interact. He doesn't talk to us anymore. He's always by himself in his room. He can be there all day. This puberty. In my head, I was just going gaga, like, excuse me, is that puberty? There's something going on. No adolescent or young adult, you shouldn't allow them withdraw to themselves. That's withdrawing to themselves. At least, yes, I'm not saying nobody should have a me time. There's a me time, but you must also associate with young siblings, and family time, and then having his or her time, but not a cautious withdrawal and then mistakenly tag it as being puberty. No way, no way. So those are some signs when you notice a vibrant child gradually seems to, I just want to be myself. He is enjoying or she's enjoying his or her own company. Is satisfied with, I think something we missed out that we should have talked about initially is the psychoactive substances. What do they even cause? How do they make them feel? So in most cases, it makes them feel elated. In fact, young people, when they start taking it, what they say, particularly students now, I've had a couple of them say that they were down, they couldn't catch up in school, and then my friend said, try this, you'll feel better. Try this, you'll feel more energetic. Or use this, you will read all night. Unfortunately, they don't tell them the other part of it, that if you try this, you can get stuck on this. So they do try it, and definitely they feel elated, energetic. They can go all night reading. But that has triggered something in their system which needs to be fed from time to time. So that is where the addiction comes in. Some people take it once and they are hooked. Some people take it once, they have so much side effects or withdrawal symptoms, and they don't go back to it anymore. I've had a young man, he took cannabis. According to him, he said he took 1 or 2 puffs, and he had very, very bad side effects, because cannabis could also cause, part of the side effect of it is hallucinatory experiences, out of the body syndrome. So he said he had that, some of those symptoms, and trust me, he said that was the last time he took cannabis. So some people take it, they stay off because of the consequences. Some take it, they felt funny, but they just went back. Some went back because, yes, I took it yesterday and I read all night. Of the amphetamines, methamphetamines, all those helps them to keep going without resting.
So that means that for most people who take drugs, who get into drugs, they do that unknowingly.
Unknowingly, beautiful. I love that question. Unknowingly. So that is where the advocacy, the awareness is very, very important. Because for us, we know as a mental health professional that is only God that can heal or cure or remove the addiction. That's the truth. The rehabilitation, they come in for rehabilitation, they promise you they won't go again, they abstain during the rehabilitation. Of course, they are in a controlled environment, but some of them, the next day they leave there, they go back to the substance, to the drugs. So what we advocate more is about early awareness. Unfortunately, presently in Nigeria, there is no psychology 101 or elementary psychology or mental health, basic mental health that we could even like teach, just like in home economics. You know, we at home they teach us how to take care of ourselves. In school too, they also repeat it. You know, they go that extra mile. I think that's what home economics. Let's say home economics is helping us take care of our physical health, but we don't have anything to tell us about mental health. A couple of months ago, I was teaching some primary school students what is mental health. You'll be shocked at what they think mental health is. Think it's the crazy person on the street. How can you help yourself improve your mental? They don't even have a clue. It shouldn't be. So awareness, cutting this off, knowing that if you take this, you can get addicted on it. Beautiful. So something came to my mind now. Just like patients with sickle cell disorders, they come in pain, and the doctor gives them pentazocine. They don't tell them that pentazocine is addictive. So they take it, they feel relieved. And then they don't go back to the doctor. They just ask the nurse, please, what drug did the doctor give me? Immediately he gave me, I felt so much better. And it's pentazocine. And then they start taking it. They might not start by themselves. They know what the name, although Nigeria is getting better, we thank God now, because they will not sell some drugs without prescription. But previously, you could get some of these drugs off the counter. So they go there, buy it, they give it to a nurse, they give them at home. It graduates to them now injecting themselves. Some of them, they get to have to amputate their limbs. Some hands are cut off and also, and they still keep taking the drugs. That's what addiction can do, how bad addiction is.
You talked about you spoke to some primary school children, and then they were asking them what mental health is and how they can improve their mental health. Please, can you just let us? Maybe there are other people who are, of course, are just like them. Maybe they're not even children. Can you just help us like what mental health is and how we can improve our mental health?
Oh, thank you. I love that question too, because I've tried to write about it, because from that experience, I noticed that I was coming from talking to adults about mental health to children. So for adults, we say that mental health is when there are some psychological needs that are not being met. You know, we talk the grammar, but for children, we didn't understand that. Fortunately, I now went about it by God's grace anyway, this way, and I read some on, and he explained mental health as the ability to cope with day-to-day activities or stressors. So I now coned it down to them. I said, what are the activities you do day by day? They said, I wake up in the morning. I help them a bit in it. I wake up in the morning, you go to school, come back from school, you have your bath. So that is activities you do each day. So mental health really is the ability to go through each of those times without feeling emotionally overburdened. While we were speaking, one of the children said, and when I get back from school, my mom will say I should wash the plates. He said he didn't like that. He usually felt very sad and all that. So that is a dip in the mental health during that day. You should be able to accommodate some. So that now led to the next definition, just so that they understand. So mental health to children could also be defined as the ability to balance one's emotions. So I now went further to say, what is an emotion in itself? An emotion is how we feel. So how you feel, what are the ways you feel, what are the types of emotions that we have. I brought it down to positive and negative. So we have the positive emotions, which include feeling happy, excited, feeling grateful. It is a positive emotion. And then the negative one, which could include feeling persistently sad. Because I won't say sadness is we do all feel sad if something happens, but the issue is if it's persistently being sad. So persistently being sad, anger, then fearfulness. While I was asking them, one of them just said, what are the examples of negative emotions? I said, Mama, I said, okay, please tell us. He said, when you are scared. It just clicked in me that yes. So you do know what I'm talking about. That child knew what he was talking about. Apparently, maybe some from time to time he used to feel scared. So going back to definition, the ability to balance this positive and negative. When you don't allow one to pull you down, you have the ability to pull yourself back up. Just explaining the boy that said when I get back from school, I still have to do chores at home, and he's not happy with that, and he feels sad. So ability to balance, to give good excuses now. Now, I'm helping my mom. Will I rather want my mom to do this? Or maybe she's not at home, I'm supposed to take care of my younger ones. Give positive ideas and positive reasons why you are doing what you are doing, so that you don't stay persistently low, you balance up. So mental health to a child is just the ability to balance their emotions when you don't allow any dips and not too much highs. They're just balanced down.
So, what are the ways that one can improve?
Of course, thank you. So the way I'll still go in line of children, because I love child mental health. So how I explained it to them was physical health. How do you take care of your physical health? And they was, please, I want to. Okay, okay. So you just go on. Yes, you brush your teeth, you eat well, exercise. You take care of grooming, proper grooming. So mental health too. We need to take care of our mental health. The most important, the first thing is anytime we worry, even as a child, you have to bring it out. Tell someone, having a confidant, that's the number one rule. That's the number one thing that can help anybody's mental health. Children, adults, anyone at all. Anything worrying you, or for a child, something you are not happy about, or something that is strange to you, immediately tell your mom or your dad or your teacher. That in itself helps. Then the other ones are sleeping well, exercising, exercising for children, not like it might not be our exercise, but play. But unfortunately, like in Lagos now, I think we are starting to remove play for children because there's no place to play anymore. All the parks, vacant fields are being, constructions are going on. I remember one young little girl. So the girl is about 5 years old, and the parents went for a party. I think it was in Ibadan. So of course Ibadan still has expanse of land that there are no building anyway. I know we have one or two in Lagos too, but Ibadan. So it was a big field. So many parents came down. The child too came down. Guess what the child did? She just started running. She was just going. She was just running. Like I could just imagine in her head, maybe they were coming from an enclosed unit, maybe a 3-bedroom flat, and the compound not so big. Then in her head, she just sees, what is this? So this could, she was just going. So play is very important for children. They have to be able to play. That's part of exercising, talking out, like I said, and then having a good habit, like a good routine. What you do at a particular time. When you come back from school, this is what you do. After that, that's what you do, and all of that. And then for children, before I leave that topic, is a child's mental health could be affected by the parents' mental health. So there was this young lady, she came, I was giving a presentation. Actually, I was talking about depression that day, depressive disorders. And after I finished talking, I was like, any question? She just came from the back that she has not been happy, that she cannot go on anymore. She has a little child. But why she spoke that day? Because we must know that mental health is still highly stigmatized. For someone to actually come out and say, yes, I feel depressed, I'm not happy, that was a lot. And she agreed. They said why she actually came out is she's just worried for the child, because she can't just go on anymore. Immediately what came to my head is, I don't know if you have a picture, if there's a pot, in a teapot, if there's no tea in the teapot, there's nothing you can pour out. So if there are cups and there's a teapot, it doesn't necessarily mean that the pot will pour into the cups. It's only if there is tea in it that could pour. So parents' mental health too definitely affects And so she said she has been shouting at the children, at the child. Some even lash out, physical abuse, or they just abandon them because they are not okay. So the particularly maternal mental health now, very, very important for the child's mental health too. So even, let's say in the school that I talk to them about mental health, they okay, a doctor came, she told us to talk to, if I feel anything, I should talk to my mommy, or she said I should sleep well. And mommy does not want to listen to issues coming up because mommy have her own issues going on and she cannot just take on. Or, okay, yes, she's trying to be cheerful. Yes, she feels sad, but doctor said that when you feel sad, try to give yourself positive reasons. She's trying to give herself good reasons, but the mother comes and is just shouting. Or the parents come back home and they are fighting in front of the children, or arguing loudly, or the husband hitting the wife. So no way, no matter what we even tell the children, if the maternal or parental mental health are not in check, or if they don't even know what could affect their children, then what are we saying?
They don't know that part, not knowing. I think a lot of parents don't know how mental health issues affect their children, or what should be done or what should be avoided. Now, my concern is the fact that there is need for awareness, but it seems like only little is being done. Like, is there a way that, or is there something that maybe the government could do, or a way that this thing can come closer home? Because even from when you're talking, I realize that these things are not normal. It's not common. It's not something that you find, in homes. And sometimes, we're learning to be calm parents, take it easy with your kids, but still, sometimes you're not told what it is. Like, talking about mental health, I believe that for many parents, if they are going to know that this is what it can do to their children, they will treat it differently, but they don't know.
Yeah, yes, I totally agree. If I was not in psychiatry, I might not know too. But can you blame them? Like I had highlighted, there is nowhere mental health is taught. The mental health we know as Nigerians or culturally is what we see on, although they're getting better now, on the movies where they show somebody moving along, going along, and then something falls on the person and the person is behaving abnormally, or the person on the street that is not properly dressed, or the person that is chasing everybody in the market. That is what mental health is about. Meanwhile, they don't know, because what I was also trying to teach those children, I also researched something, and what I got was, apparently our mental health is the engine. Your mental health is the engine of the body. Let's look at somebody that is depressed, for example. Now, the person does not feel motivated, he feels tired all the time, he's not happy, he feels like killing himself. But guess what? Let's look at his physical health. He can still carry his body, he can function normally, there's nothing wrong with his limbs, his brain is working normally, but his mind is in chaos. That shows us how important, there are phrases that say that there's power in the mind. It is definitely a lot. When a normal person that has all the things they need to function in place, but because of their poor mental health, they cannot function. So we should see the gravity. For me, because we have a psychiatric forum, one of our colleagues, I think they're in Kaduna State, and Kaduna State government, they picked it up. They are trying to integrate mental health into different structures. For example, now, mental health into primary education board, for example. Although some parents might kick against it, that we're trying to teach them crazy. Meanwhile, they don't know that mental health is not about anybody crazy or psychotic. Mental health starts from not sleeping well. Yes, not feeling happy persistently. Having this continuous feeling of being overwhelmed by things. So that is where anxiety and some other things, the psychosis or the things we see on the street, blah blah, crazy person, is just 9% or 10% of what we see. If you come to our clinic, we have a clinic in Lut on Mondays. Before you see somebody behaving abnormally, maybe you would have come maybe once a month or once in 3 months. People come due to anxiety disorders, they come due to depressive disorders, sleep issues, worrying problems, So it's quite diverse. So if we can integrate mental health into primary education board, then the primary level health centers too. Presently in Nigeria, there are just about 300 psychiatrists to the whole Nigeria, yes. And then because of this jackpot now, a lot of people have. So there is a need for psychiatrists to come in to train community health workers, to train nurses, to train others. At least if you see this, and this sign, you can do this. If it goes beyond, have like a schedule of action, like an SOP. If it goes beyond this, then refer to, even if it's as basic as that. And then, although they do it now in the office spaces, they call in mental health professionals to educate staff. But this, just the same way organizations don't joke with their yearly checkups, there also should be a 6-month biannual mental health education, biannual. If we incorporate this and we encourage everybody to speak up, before we know it, the level of stigmatization will go down, and people will be able to assess, doctor, I need to talk to someone. That's part of mental health. If you don't know, if you don't have a friend to talk to, and you have issues disturbing you, and you notice that you're not sleeping in the night, yes, you should see a therapist. Not because, don't get me wrong, at that stage, you don't have the person does not have a mental health disorder, but the mental health is being affected.
Yeah. Okay, there's just a lot, man. Thank you so much, doctor. Now, I want to first say, okay, for some of the things that you talked about, like the anxiety disorder, and you mentioned a number of them. Can you speak on some of those, and then maybe some of the things that maybe one could do that can help them maybe at the early stage when they are getting themselves into it, in a way they can get themselves out before it gets out of hand?
Oh, beautiful. That's good. That's also part of ways to improve mental health functioning, really. So what I notice in the clinic is there's a group of people that come in. If you ask questions, they are not depressed. Say, doctor, I don't feel sad. In fact, you don't see it on they don't look sad, but they feel like they cannot go on. They cannot handle it anymore. They feel like they're just at the brim. So we have to identify. Then this is divided into stuff. Let me first talk about the working class now. So for the working class people, people have to know that they have to take time off. I say this when patients come to my clinic. I say part of why you come is so that you understand yourself. When you understand yourself, then you'll be able to work on some areas. The basis of all this mental health, that we are not trying to change anybody, but just so you know that, oh, this is the kind of person you are. These are the things that you should avoid. These are the things that might work you up, and all of that. You understand? So they should know that we must first all identify that Lagos is a stressful environment. We should identify that, When I just leave Lagos, it's as if there's another kind of hair blowing, and there's this serenity, Of course, I'm not saying other parts of Nigeria don't have busy cities or they don't have busy, but it's just different a bit. Let me just say this on the lighter note. So because I came into Lagos due to work and marriage, so I just started driving. I was going to work, and then as I was going, when traffic, there was a downfall man, as in that's commercial bus driver, at my back. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was lost in thought for like 2 minutes, and the car in front of me had moved. You won't believe what the commercial guy did. He just used his car and pushed my own car ahead. Like, instead of even owning, he didn't even bother owning. He just moved. He didn't hit the car, but he just moved. I just felt a jolt, this has happened like 10 years ago, but I felt traumatized that day. Like, who does
I'm
this?
so sorry.
Like, that was a bit like invading in my privacy. So if I was lost it up for like a minute, just give me a minute. Let me think, let me get out of it. But no, they couldn't wait. But do you blame them? Maybe it's going 20 kilometers from where we were, and all of that stuff. So the identifying things, that the first thing, okay, Lagos could be stressful. traffic and all of that. So we now cautiously put things in place. I must try to rest. On Saturdays, I would ensure, there could be a point. Another thing about Lagos is you could also get carried along. There are so many distractions, work, social life, and so many other things. So you could just find out that you just keep going until you now just realize that, I don't feel like doing it anymore. So cautiously, you put things in check when once a week, at least on Saturdays, if I don't get to rest on this week Saturday, I must, by God's grace, rest next week. When you cautiously streamline things, or if he's a business person or a professional, while you're arranging your calendar, you cautiously put out some dates that, no, don't feel this date, or don't feel this family time, this me time, this, you understand. Although some people watching could say, doctor, that's easy said than done, because of course they want to fill all their calendar for the money and all of that things. But if we push ourselves too much, then person might fall ill or become very stressful. The money you were now, person was not using, then there's no time. You would eventually be forced to take the 2-week leave or the 1-month leave and all of that. And then another thing, some people find it ridiculous to go on leave. I've heard that too before, and said, doctor, leave. If I go on leave, they're already working, different things are happening already. When I come back, I'm lost. So they prefer not to go on leave. That's bad. That's on another level. So we have to put this in check cautiously and all of that.
Yeah, that's you addressed the working class. So how about those that are not working class, especially stay-at-home moms? Most time it looks like these ones, they are supposed to be fine, but you still find out that they are under stress, and then sometimes they seem to not be able to stop, because it seems like they are not actually going out to work, but eventually they are, working round the clock, kind of.
I like that. That's very, very important too, because we have noticed, and there's even a theory regarding that a woman that has a child that has 3 children below 11 years old, that woman is predisposed to depressive disorders, depression, or a mental health issue. Yeah, because we say these kind of things, and then some people just think that how can that be possible? But the woman, less than 3, they're running around the house, and unfortunately, there's this idea that she's not working. So expectations are high regarding, you do not leave the house. You are not supposed to be tired. You have to keep going on. After all, you've not done anything. And then I think that is part of what breaks them, when there's even no applause at the end of the day, like, well done. Personally, when I had my first child, my God. Thank you, Jesus. In my head, I was now thinking, I said, those nurses, when they go for maternity leave, they usually come back, they dressed up, happy. That is this what they go through when they go on maternity leave? As in, so it could be so stressful. But don't get me wrong, it's not the same story for everybody. Yeah. Some people have it. Some people are just energetic. Because I remember then, when I was, by God's grace, taking care of my children, there was this woman opposite my house, and she had a child too. Around the same time I had a child. And she woke up in the morning, she washed all the clothes. She was the opposite of me. But I would just get up, I'll stand and bag and I'll keep looking at her. Now, please, how are you doing this? Just tell me what you are taking, or what, all of that. So for them, another main thing is, then there's nobody to talk to sometimes. Yeah. So the husband has left the house very early. Then sometimes in some relationships, the partner believes that, after all, you are at home. After all, you are not doing anything. So he leaves the house very early. So he also believes that you should support him. You support him emotionally. You should support him physically, in all the areas of support. That is why you are not working. So he leaves the house very early. He comes back very late in the night. There's a big vacuum. Yeah. The woman is at home. Okay, let's say, this woman is not like me. She's energetic. Yeah, she's coping with the children. She's doing all the chores. but there's no one to talk to. Peradventure is a big house, duplex, a big house, a mansion. She's just there by herself. Okay, maybe sometimes the house help, but there's a limit to what you say to the house help. So the partner comes in the night, 7, 8, and truthfully, he or she has been working all day, and he is tired. So he's not ready to talk. He's not ready for any chit chat. So nobody talk to you. You're just waiting when my husband comes. I'll tell him, I'll do this. And then husband comes, please, my food. Please. And before, as you are talking, he has stepped off. So that in itself too, it also causes, it could affect their mental health, and particularly the lack of applause, the lack of acknowledgement, like they are not doing anything. So a beautiful way out, social media has helped a lot. I'm not saying being stuck on the phone, but whatever they can do, in the house, that could bring in money legitimately, of course, and in a good way. Now we have people, even stay-at-home moms, that they've learned some training. They are sewing in the house. They are doing stuffs in the house, things to keep them busy. So that could help them.
So another thing from what you're saying, if I get you correctly, is that talking a lot or speaking out, telling someone about how you feel could help, improve one's mental health.
Of course, I'm not saying one should be a talkative.
Yeah, I
I'm,
get.
I'm just saying that instead of keeping things in, if there's a channel to bring it out, it goes a long way. In fact, in psychotherapy, that is part of that's 50% of what we do in psychotherapy. We have different talk therapies. It's just professionally now, we now just try to guide the person along the path that we want them to talk, or as they are talking, we now start giving them ideas. Why not think about it this way? Why did you have to think about it this way? Oh, sorry, you had to go through this way. So some people even call psychotherapy, they call it talk therapy. Yeah, so that is the basic. And then also, we also should be careful. I'm not also saying that you should say your story to everybody out there. No. Of course, somebody that will keep whatever you say, and not necessarily seeking advice. Don't get me wrong, too. Just somewhere to let out this thing. For example, the other day when I talked about what the commercial driver did, when I was doing presentation, I talked about it. And today I laugh it off. That day I felt really bad. But I've been talking about it and I can laugh about it now. Okay. So not necessarily talking about stuff just so that they advise, don't do this. You too, why did you do that? Or don't go through that. No. Just share the experience, and you just laugh, because the audience might laugh. And then you now see that, okay, maybe there was no big deal too. It's just laugh it off, kind of, if you understand that area. Do you understand
Yeah,
that?
I do. And then for children, how do you help them talk when, they are also feeling sad? Because
I think for children, they are still at the listening stage, meaning is what you tell them most of the time, because it's that they will do. For example, just trying to educate them. For some of the children I talk about now, that I go to teach now, I just keep telling them, they might not know. Sometimes we think they know, but they might not know. That anytime you feel anyhow, talk to someone. That you know that your teacher is seated here, you could talk to her if you feel sad. Some people, a child might believe that if I feel down or I'm hurting in the leg, I'm supposed to stay by myself. After a while, it will go away. Or if there is something wrong going on in the house, I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut, though you understand those kind of scenarios. But
yeah.
when you now bring some certain scenarios out to them, that if you feel this way, don't keep quiet. You talk to your mom. That's why she's there. Or talk to your dad. That's why he's there. Or talk to your teacher in school. Or your auntie, your special auntie that listens to you. So you give them scenarios when, particularly describing emotions now. Don't forget, that's why we talked about mental health regarding emotions. So if you are feeling the negative emotions, you identify that, oh, okay, this is a negative emotion. Why am I having this negative emotion? So if it's a negative, then I'm supposed to talk out.
Yeah. Thank you so much, doctor. Now, for some families, there is this ideology, especially when we're growing up, when they will hear some families say, whatever happens in the family stays in the family. And, sometimes it seems like people tend to, I feel that sometimes people tend to blame themselves for situations, in the sense that you're going through something and you feel that, or maybe you're looking for a child. It seems like, the person may not be talking about it. I feel like it's not your fault that maybe you don't have a baby. It's not your fault that you have not gained admission. It's not your fault. But sometimes they keep it, because of those ideology of whatever happens. And I perceive that sometimes it kind of affects, or it could affect mental health in the long run. Or what do you think about that? Is this something that can really affect mental health of family members?
For me, that ideology, I know that our parents, our mothers say you are not supposed to. I'm not also saying that you should talk about your relationship or your husband issue outside, but um, in a marriage now, for example, it's not only the husband relationship that is a burden on the woman. Let's talk from the woman's side anyway. If you talk about guys now, men, they have all sorts too, but let me just talk about the women's side. So it's not in marriage, it's not only the husband, it's not only the relationship that there's an issue, there's the market issue too. There are women that doesn't like going to the market. There's money issue too. That could be a burden. There is the economic generally. What I've tried by myself is, why not break it down? Try to identify, okay, so. For example, I have 3 sisters now. So one of them stays in Lagos. Then the other 2, they are not in Lagos. So for example, if anything happens in Lagos, I can call her and say, did you hear what they said happened in Lagos Island? Because it could be distressing. Let's say, for example, they said 2 houses burnt in Lagos Island, and you are listening to the news and you heard that. Will anybody be happy? Immediately it goes like, what is happening again? This Nigeria said. And then, hello, Taiwo. Did you hear what they said again? You let it go. Are you reporting your marriage in that instance? Then the next one, because of fuel crisis, market tomato price has gone up. Garri is this. Then I call my mother, mommy, how much are you buying garri today? Can you imagine garri? Oh, what should we do, mommy? And then she go, don't mind them. That was how they did 2 years ago. 3 years ago, it will come down, and you laugh about it. Those scenarios, you are not waiting for an husband that's gone all day to come back in the night, and you are keeping everything that when he just comes, honey, hello, how are you? Did you hear what they said happened in Surulere today? Did you hear? And my friend, my Mr. Man, he's tired. I beg, take care of yourself. Identify and use people around you.
Yeah.
So yes, I see presently, recently, or I've been a while, I see middle-aged women, just due to what you are raising, that they come in with depression. They come in with this feeling of being overwhelmed when they feel like they are not being heard, they are not being seen. He's not listening to me, he doesn't like me anymore. Do you understand? But majority of them, they got married and they've calmed down to me and my husband. Don't get me wrong too, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with me and my husband. Beautiful, yes. Me too, I want to do me and my husband. But you have to have outlets. You have to have places where you can breathe.
Yeah.
Do you understand now? So when it now comes, so you've taken care of the family, you've taken care of the market runs, you've taken care of the Nigeria wahala, so it's now remaining your husband. So out of 5, 1/5, that one will not kill you now. But what do you think? If you are stuck on, I must not tell anybody about, which is okay and is entirely based on individual. So sometimes if you feel like you have someone that understands you, or a mentor or a sister that you can confide in about your relationship, that in itself is not bad, but I would not force that, because people have different opinions about that.
Yeah, I really like that you have highlighted on this, because even sometimes, especially for some newlyweds, it's even the husband that will say, please, I don't want anybody, they paint this scenario, because I believe that anyone listening to this will understand that it's not just about, maybe people knowing about what's going on, but you're also helping both yourself and your spouse. Because when these things happen and the spouse, maybe the woman feels that nobody is hearing, she starts, feeling bad. Sometimes she begins to affect
the relationship. Yeah, they start picking fight, and that's it. So they start picking fight with the husband. They become irritable,
Yeah.
and then the husbands they withdraw, and then the reason why she was irritable now, is a circle. So maybe in the beginning, he's not listening to me. Yesterday he slept off. I started again. He did not say anything. He did not answer me. It was like that, and then it will just keep increasing from here to there. So the irritability will just keep going, coming out, and becoming worse.
It's also safe for men to like organize the girls outing for their wives, so they can have to talk about things with their friends. That would give the family a better experience, right?
Honestly, I'm on that page, oh, Sister Soluchi. But because of our culture, because of religion, you can follow me. Oh, I won't mind. You should follow me, but I should go out with my friends. We should do some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
Going out 7 p.m. Because if believe me or not, 6:30 there's this different kind of breeze in the evening. That when you are just going out at 6:30 with your loved one, you just the mental health will just be okay immediately. Yeah, definitely. So if they don't, because presently in Lagos, some Gen Zs, 30 years old, they've started that. Friday nights they go out with their friends, girls, yes. They go out with their friends, they hook up in the club, they do all sorts. We don't even want that. We don't want any. But if it's getting late like that, the husband can come along. Everybody bring your husband. And then the husbands are doing their thing, we are doing their thing. So from this, what I really pick is trying to inculcate relationships. Everybody inviting like a gathering, not only the husband doing like a get together for the women, because what of their own husbands too?
Yeah.
So bring your spouse, everybody bring your husbands. Husband, take care of yourself. Girls, let's gist or let's, all of that.
That's really, really lovely. I hope everyone can hear it. So taking care of your husband or your wife saves your family a lot. That's what it means, yeah. You talked about play, for children. The space, the environment where they play, does it matter whether it's a big space or a small space? Is there any difference?
I think it's divided into two, because small space in itself is beautiful. Let's say a classroom now, we put puzzles, or you put down books, or the activities they are doing. That is also play in itself. Anything that is fun. But there are different types of playing now. They should also, just like they are being taught in class about some things, there is limiting and then unlimited things too, or like a vacuum, or like a big space. They watch some of these things on TV too, in their cartoons too, where they just see the butterfly going from one flower to the other in an open grass field. So the two is important. While we say a space now, for example, let's say in a confined area, in a 3-bedroom flat apartment. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with 3 bedroom. Some people might not even, it's even a privilege if you stay in a 3-bedroom. So like 3-bedroom flat where, okay, play in the sitting room, that's fine. Then you want to help them that day. Okay, you've been good today. You can go out on the balcony, but you lock the balcony. So they play from the balcony into the sitting room if they are staying on the ground floor. Then another day, okay, auntie's around. You can go outside, but you lock the gate. So all this still creates like a limiting kind of function, like a limiting kind of feeling. It might not be something they talk about, that's the truth. It might not be something they put their hands on, but it's just like the example I talked about, that young child lady, that girl, when she got to an open space, she just started, just that feeling of I'm free kind of. So we cannot remove these park-like feelings when a child goes to the park and they can run a big distance, not only about running or playing, or even view it and see that, yes, mommy will not, I can run from here to there, or I can drive my bicycle from there. That limited feeling too. So it's quite important in both play.
Yeah, so for people who live, in the modern day, most of the people live in maybe flats or even in duplex, but of course in a secluded area. So every once in a while, they should take it.
They should. I think we try, like in Lagos now, you see when there are public holidays, people come out with their families. But sometimes we might not. The main thing really coming out sometimes, I believe anyway, because I'm not in their minds, I just believe that they just say, okay, family time, let me take time off, spend with my family, let's leave the house, let's go out. For the children too, because some adults, if they have young children, you see them going to children's center. So it's also because of the children too, when they feel like, let's come out of the house. But that reason, that goal, why unconsciously, nobody's telling us to do that, but we just see that there is a need for that. For example, they are just limited in this space all the time. You identify subconsciously that there's a need to come out, which could explain that public holiday coming out. But while there, we have to now fulfill that need, meaning that we are not supposed to go from an enclosed area to another enclosed. Yes, if it is children, if you are going with your children, why not go to a park? Lagos State now, they have one of, they started renovating their parks where they can take the children to, or centers where there are, big spaces where they can play. So we must know now, like I said, that we have to cautiously put some things in check. When we say, okay, no, yes, there could be another time for a dining experience when we all go to a restaurant and sit. But in this occasion, we want to go out, play around, not leave the house and then go into another enclosed area.
Yeah. So you dress the kids up ready for play, knowing
Ready
that.
for play, yeah. You keep them up, wear the canvas or the boots or the tennis, and then only for is we don't know really. Like I just said, that's just mental health for you. When there's just something nudging, you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know why it's coming, but you just identify that. Okay, I think we should work on this area. But to know the benefit, if we know, for example, if some parents hear what I'm saying now, the next time is family time, they will put some of these things into check. Like, okay, let's go to a park first. After they play, then we go for our dining. For example, people that want to have the enclosed dining experience and all of that good stuff.
All right, doctor, thank you so much. I want us to quickly go back to the young children, the adolescent. For some parents, when you talk about this drug abuse, sometimes it feels like the children from broken home are the ones we're talking about. But are there cases where there are maybe Christian children from Christian home or parents who seem to be okay and having their kids, abusing drugs?
Definitely. In fact, if I look at it, because usually there is studies and then there's clinical experience. Looking at it clinically, broken homes, in fact, that's not one of the top reasons now. I won't say it's a good thing to come out from a broken home, but there are more issues pressing on than that now. And the first one is peer influence. Just like I mentioned earlier, when the child is going through stuff, then another syndrome I want to talk about is this belief that we all say, and what I went through, I won't want my children to go through it. They must not suffer. Yes, in the name of Jesus, our children will not suffer. But there are some things that you have to help them to build resilience. You understand? So if they have, just like they did for us, sometimes we used to work. It might be the security situation in the country. I'm not blaming anybody. Don't also get me wrong. But in our days, we used to work from the lesson, we walk home, nobody fearing anything. We used to do some stuff. We used to not necessarily looking at it. If you look back, you didn't like it in those times, but you were building resilience so that when you get to the office or when you started working today, yes, your boss talked down on you. I'm not saying the boss is right, but you didn't automatically think that you were going to resign because you can't deal with that anymore. Or how could he say that? Or what did he mean? Oh, I feel so sad. Oh, I feel I was traumatized. Excuse you? So we have to build resilience. When things happen, we channel it in the right. If somebody does something you are not happy with, I'm not supporting people that do things wrong and that's not necessarily. What I'm just saying is you have to build resilience in a bit that anything that happens does not shatter you. You have that fight back so that you can still maintain the lane. We have a lot of young adults, 28, 30, 25 to like 30. Maybe anything goes on. In fact, in some organizations, they've labeled them if they don't know that this set of people are. We just rub them on the back. They must not feel anyhow. Because if they feel anyhow, they resign.
Wow.
Yes, they just resign, say they are not doing anymore. The other day I was in a supermarket. It just came to my mind. And we're in a supermarket, and this lady in front of me, she bought a lot of stuff. Although the children are quite young, like 5 years old, two boys. And I thank God for their lives. I'm not trying to bring them down in any way. So she bought a lot of stuff, and she was carrying the nylon. But what caught my eye was she bought cardboard too. I just believe that maybe she roll the cardboard, put it in. Usually they do that at the decks where you buy stuff. They would put a rubber band around it so it's folded already. Or just hand it over to the boys. I can carry that where you now struggle with. This person, she carried everything, and the boys were just strolling ahead of her. The little bits and tips that we can use to encourage them. We cannot keep spoon feeding them and thinking that I used to wash plates. I hated it. Yes, I hated washing plates too. But in one way or the other, it has helped. I used to hate doing house chores, but was it bad? You're building yourself. There are some countries all over the world, in worldwide now, that even as a very young child, they make sure they do some chores just so to build them. So while we are saying that yes, our children must be excellent, fantastic, we must also make them help them to build resilience. For example, they go to school and say, mommy, so person, they did something, and then immediately the next day you are in the school. Who is Mr. or who is Mrs. or who is Joseph, or you want to fight? Okay, she did that. Oh, so sorry. So what did you do? Who did you report to? How did you are asking, you are encouraging the child. So what was the next line of action that you put in place so that automatically that just resonates to what I said? Fast forward in later life, they go to work. First day, somebody shouted at them, and they said, So this is what they do in the workplace. They shout on them anyhow. No way, I can't do this. I'm not working anymore. But if they know that, okay, why did he talk to me that way? Yes, I identify that you are not supposed to stop me, even if you are my boss. You are not. So what is the next line of action? Who am I supposed to talk to regarding this? If I'm not happy about this, who is in place? Is it the HR? Is it the this? So what was the next thing you did? That's the next question to that child.
Yeah, thank you so much, doctor. So now talking about the fact that peer pressure is part of you know the causes, where these kids get influenced. What are some of the subtle signs that parents could see? I know you once mentioned when a child wants to just withdraw and be, but so what are other things that a parent could be looking out for, to know that maybe this child, something needs to be checked or needs to be watched closely?
Of course, apart from withdrawal to self, then when you notice that your money is, you lose change. Most of the time, they are the kind of money that you might not remember anyway. But just pay particular attention, because you won't wait till the day that you notice that 10,000 is missing, or you notice somebody transferred something on your phone and you are not, you are sure that you were not the one that transferred that money and all of that. So the loose change we have, or some particular money you put somewhere, you just be cautious about it to try to pick, even right from when they are young teenagers, the 13, 12, 10, 11, you put loose change around, and then you just take note. Sometimes I might put money in the drawer and I will just look, okay, it's 500 or it's 200 or it's 300, but I'll go back, I'll keep checking, just so that they'll think mommy will not know, or mommy will not this, or mommy will, just so that at a young age you can quickly say, no, did you need that money? You can ask me. If you ask me, I would. What did you need it for? You didn't have to take it. Of course, all what I'm saying, don't get me wrong, is with prayer. It's Holy Spirit that can help us in all of this. It could seem like You just talking, no way. It's just God. Like you identified too when you started this podcast that is faith-based, talking about relationships and all that. So basically for me is Christ being at the center. Because trust me, some of the things I've said, even better than I've said it today, some people have put it into place and they didn't still get the result. So it is still Christ. It is still identifying that, Jesus, it is you that can do this. It is just you alone. And you said something, Christian homes. Christian homes, sometimes we try our best. You are going to church, you take your children to church. Fellowship, you take them to fellowship. And then from time to time, you also organize devotional in the house. But there's still one ultimate prayer. Father, as I'm teaching them, let it also come from them. Let them also want to be a part of this. I think for sometimes Christian homes, we don't realize that is not about activity, it's about the grace of God.
We're also saying things about sometimes when you have people coming to the clinic, they look normal. So, they are already dealing with some mental health issues. And even people who are on drugs still look normal and even think that their parents or whoever brought them in is the one who is abnormal. Now, how does it really affect their mind? Now, if you have a child who is abusing drug and maybe is still looking okay, not on the street, and then another child who is, not abusing drug, what would be the difference if you were thinking of how it affects their mind?
So the truth about it is, when it's still subtle, if it's not a case of like intoxication, you might not be able to pinpoint it. When I'm teaching this topic in the teaching hospital, I make a joke. I said, some of you here, you took cannabis yesterday night, or you've taken this morning. You might not know, but it is when it gets to like intoxication level, or if they've used it for a long time and they are now addicted to it, they are showing signs of tolerance, meaning that now they start prioritizing things. All of a sudden, they don't feel like doing things they used to do anymore. Just like the example I commented about, the joke that the other lady was saying that the son was going through puberty. That's still the mild form when in the house he doesn't want to interact so much. If that is quickly looked into, that yes, you are growing up, yes, puberty, yes, you identify, you are seeing yourself in a different manner, yes, you want to be by yourself. But you must always know that there is family time, there is work time, there is, putting things in place, and then lastly, there is you time. If you want to lock your door for 2 hours, that's fine. But when everyone is in the sitting room, and maybe the ritual we do in the house is while we eat dinner, we watch the TV, then you continue with that. And not seeming like you are being forced. You should still enjoy it and then go back to what you were doing before. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So when they've been taking the substance for a while now, they become motivated. They don't want to do anything. Everything seems like a chore to them. They are not just happy. They are just by themselves. They just want to take the drugs, because when they take the substances, they feel elated. They're in another world. And then some substances like cannabis now, studies have shown, and we've seen also, it also causes psychosis. So when they start talking abnormally, but I think looking back now, is God all the way, praying that these children, by His grace, as we teach them, that God just shows them grace. There's a Bible verse when Jesus was saying that, Father, the sheep that you delivered to my hand, I've kept them, I'm returning them back to you. So apparently, we also know that God is he also has a feature called, he's a shepherd too. So he has his sheep. We just pray that these children, God gives them the grace to be part of the sheep, when that they also long. The sheep follows the shepherd. He follows the instructor, the lead person. That these children, that they take Jesus as their shepherd, and they go in line with Jesus and being Christ-like. So that's the first 1 to 1 million. And then praying, and then also identifying loopholes. Like we said, like we said, stealing or taking money. Then on your own too, try not to be There's something I always relate with. Okay, because a child is still 10 years old, if you give him 1,000, is mommy, thank you. Although some children now, maybe 1,000 is nothing anyway. Don't let me say that too much. But what I'm just saying is, for children, the amount of money you give them, ranging 1,000, 10,000, 15,000, it might seem a lot. But if you are always using money to all the time reward the activity, when they are young adults and is a car that they want at that time, do you understand? How will you now be able to balance? At this age, it seems like it's just 1K, it's just 2,000, or it's just 5,000. Don't worry, I'll give you the 5,000. Don't worry, I'll just do it. I'll give you the 10,000. As they grow older, their
They
needs
want more
also
money.
goes up. So the day he says that I won't do it unless you buy a car, then you have to go and look for the car to give the boy or the girl. You understand? So we also should be careful that we are not too frivolous with our appreciation, particularly towards the children. We have to, in some instances, if you want to go overboard, fine, but not all the time going overboard. And then also trying to check schoolwork. Some schools, they call PTA, parents come. At least most of the time when they are home, maybe you are there. In school, you don't know what is happening. So when teachers call parents to come, why not go? They are the ones that see these children. So they will be able to give you insight. He was doing well, or she was doing well. But that other day, I noticed, or recently, he's always bringing money. I don't know if you are the one that gave him, but they'll just put your attention to one or two things, and then ultimately, so we don't wait till it gets to that severe. Then this one, as a takeaway, I had a patient, a mom. Her child was in university. It's not everybody that does that, but she told me that what she does anytime the child comes back from school, she will screen her, or she will screen him for substance use. So we have screening tests that we do. Yes, and when I was talking to that girl and we were talking about substance, she made a comment about that. She said, Doctor, I will never smoke, or I will never take all those stuff because my mommy would always check. She did say that, yes. I remember her saying that. So that might be something we can put somewhere. And maybe if you are, some people take it and there's nothing. In fact, they are better than how they were before. Yes, at that time, yes. They seem to work better. They seem to have more ideas. It's over that long period of time that, you cannot keep putting the brain on the edge. After a while, to back down. So before you now start seeing so if immediately you pick up anything, but if it's just to screen from time to time, I think that's not a bad idea. Of course, with all the things we've talked about, praying and then educating them to, as females, don't leave your drink. Males self, don't leave your drink, so they don't put things there. There was this boy that came that said that, do you smoke cannabis? He said no. But we found cannabis in your urine. He said, and he went to a party, they put it in the cake, brownies, that they call it brownies something. Anyway, cake, they put cannabis inside. And it did affect him. So they have to be careful going out and all of that. All right.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Please, I want to ask this one last thing before we round it up. Some parents actually live in denial. So, when you tell them that your child, or even when they suspect things, or even when somebody brings up, like a teacher or someone brings up that maybe in the church they notice that this child is doing something, they just be like, no, he can never be my child. Their own case is that they are living in denial. They feel that they have brought up their kids so well that the child cannot be doing drugs. And, for that, they are not able to maybe take action. They just believe that it's not possible. Every other person is lying. What would you say to such parents?
I won't blame those kind of parents. That's true. Because they don't know. If they knew the extent or how these things play, they might not necessarily put their foot down 100% that I'm sure that this child is not doing that, or I'm sure. If they know that the way substance acts is interferes with cognitive, affective processes, it takes someone from 0 to 100. It removes their sorrow and puts joy temporarily anyway. The excessive things that they get from it, then they would understand that this might happen. But in that event, really, is not to, because parents that are in denial really is the first thing that they are about is no way. Then I am the one that messed up. So the fault is for me because they feel like they've guarded everything. So you are saying that my security is not top notch. No, my security is top notch. How dare you condemn my security, as in I just mean around the child. So that's the angle that they've crossed all T's, dotted all I's. No way this can. So they shouldn't take it like we are challenging their defense or we are challenging their ability as parents. But rather than that as a child, these children too are exposed to a lot. So if they want to say 100% that you cannot find any fault in my upbringing of this child, then that child will not leave their house.
Yeah.
And then that child would only be with you, either the mother or the father that is saying 100% my security is top notch.
Yeah.
Because you cannot vouch for the next person too. Do you understand?
Yeah, once a child relates with other people.
Once they leave the house, you cannot say 100% anymore. You cannot. Yes, you can pay for the best schools. Also get me wrong. Best schools does not mean that they do anything there, but I just mean that they relate in those places, because sometimes that is part of security that some people parents might think in their head, so that at least so school is the best. They will never do that there, or so place, or they have a bodyguard too when they are going. I've seen a child that has a bodyguard with a gun safe. So so some parents have put all this into place, but they should know that they cannot vouch for that next person. So that is where the omission is. So rather they should listen and then see how they can come in. So if they are top-notch upbringing people, they're beautiful for them. Immediately they raise these two, they'll quickly know how to solve it.
Wow, thank you so much, Doctor. This has been very, very educative. Thank you so much for coming. Please, before we leave, do you have any last word you want to say? Maybe something that we missed out, you feel that we should have highlighted?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's only the Holy Spirit that told you to ask that question. So for me, 1 to 100% is just relying on God, surrendering to God. Just like we mentioned, thank you, Jesus, about this. Some parents that feel like I've dotted all the T's or dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. Yeah. My security is top notch. I beg. Whose security is top notch? If not God, if not Jesus. He's the only one that can build an edge of fire around us that nothing can come in through that end. He's the only one that has that top notch security. He's the only one that can give us that knowledge. He said, ask for knowledge and wisdom. If you need it, and I will give unto you. So he's the one that we should look unto. He's the author and the finisher of our life. So considering these children too, the truth of the matter is there is no perfect way. Even as a professional, I would not say that if you do this and this and this is equal to this child will not do this. I cannot say that. But what I know, faith-based, is if you put that child in the hands of the Lord and you train him and teach him in the hands of God, what are we talking about? God said, I know Abraham will teach his children the ways of the Lord. We know that Bible verse. So if we teach them the ways of the Lord, and God also sees this, of course he sees everything, he would help us too. He will dot the T's, he will cross the T's and dot the I's. Then by his grace, these children will attain what they are supposed to attain and fulfill their destiny in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. I appreciate your time. Thank you. And I believe that our audience would have learned a lot. It's okay to go over the video again if you have missed anything. And, a word is enough for the wise. So you take all the things that you have heard and apply it. And if at this time you have not still subscribed to our channel, I'd like to plead with you to please subscribe, like, share. It will help the algorithm to push the video to more people, and they can also be blessed just like you are. And thank you so much for tuning to the Soluchi Ceejay Podcast. Until we'll see again in the next video. Bye.